Walters is the place to be before and after games at Nationals Park. Be sure to check out their self-poured beer wall, including options such as the Dr. Juicy IPA from Silver Branch Brewing Company.
I'm excited to tell you about the designs Homage has cooked up for the 2025 MLB season. If you're as baseball obsessed as I am, you'll love the full roster of Major League looks from Homage. Amazing comfort and deep cut designs that help fans show off passion for their favorite teams. Homage has a massive selection that tells the story of the greatest sport from its very beginnings. Deep logo history, coast-to-coast stadium tours, and the biggest players from every era. Legends never die at Homage. If you need your new shirt for going to a ball game, Homage has you covered with its most comfortable fan clothing, and it's available for fans of all ages. This year's collection hits dinger after dinger after tater. Fleece, tees, bottoms, and more. And don't forget to check out the new starter jacket lineup, an iconic dugout look you don't want to miss. Heroes get remembered, but legends never die, and these looks go long, period. Check out the Homage MLB collection to find your team's coolest gear.
Now the kick and the pitch. Swing and a long drive to right. Back goes Call. Warning track. He's at the fence and he can't get it. It's in the bullpen and gone. Goodbye. A two-run homer for Shohei Ohtani. And tie the score. The Dodgers 2 and the Nationals 2. Bonda delivers. Swinging a high fly ball left center field deep. Back goes Edman way back at the wall. Going. Gone. Goodbye. Into the Budweiser red seats in left center field. Bang. Zoom goes James Wood with his second home run of the year. A two-run shot off the left-hander Bonda here in the bottom of the 7th inning. And it's bedlam in the nation's capital. A big two-run cushion added here in the bottom of the 7th. It's now the Nationals 5 and the Dodgers 2.
1 ball, no strikes to Betts. Finnegan to the belt. He kicks and deals. Swinging a ground ball right side, softly hit. Garcia has it. He'll throw on to first, and this one is over. Finnegan pumps his fist. He nails down the save, and the Nationals defeat the Dodgers 6-4 in Game 1.
And welcome to Nats Chat, along with MASNsports.com Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman, who is at Nationals Park. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. So you never know who's listening. We recently learned that a frequent listener of the Nats Chat podcast is Willie Finnegan, father of Nats reliever Kyle Finnegan. And I am sure that Willie Finnegan is especially proud of his son right now, and rightfully so. A gutsy 5-out save in pitching for a third consecutive day. The Nats on Monday evening got their best win of MLB's young 2025 regular season, a 6-4 win over the reigning, defending World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers at Nationals Park in Game 1 of a 3-game series, hours after the Dodgers were honored at the White House. So the Nats now are 4-6, including 3-1 on this current 6-game homestand. This installment of Nats Chat is brought to us by Open Window Property Management, LLC. Open Window Property Management serves the entire DMV, and Open Window Property Management's parent company has been serving military families for 40 years. Give Open Window Property Management a call today, 703-955-4017. You can find us on X at Nats_chat. You can find us on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. You can email the show, natschatpodcast@gmail.com, including if you would like to sponsor the show. And we have a website that you can check out, natschatpodcast.com, in which you can purchase a Nats Chat Podcast t-shirt. Coming up later in the show, a report on the Nats AAA affiliate, the Rochester Red Wings, from the radio voice of the Red Wings, Josh Whetzel. But how about this Nats win on Monday evening? Starting pitcher MacKenzie Gore, really good for a second time in 3 starts, 2 runs in 6 innings, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk. Kyle Finnegan, the aforementioned gutsy 5-out save. Left fielder James Wood, 1 for 3 with a 2-run homer, a walk, and a stolen base. A little bit of everything in this game. And Mark, all of a sudden, the Nats have gone from 1-6 to winning 3 consecutive games.
And winning 3 consecutive games against some top competition as well. If we had said at the outset that their best chance of a 3-game winning streak during this opening 2 weeks, given who they were facing, would you have said the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers? I don't think I would have said that. I think I probably would have said some combination of the Phillies and the Blue Jays, or maybe the Blue Jays and the Diamondbacks. I don't think I would have taken the back end of this with the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers, but I'll tell you what, they stood there toe-to-toe with the defending champs and outplayed them. Now, I mean, the Dodgers made some mistakes. They didn't play the cleanest game in the world, but the Nats really played with them. And in crunch time, they showed up. They delivered both at the plate to score some huge insurance runs that were necessary. And then to close it out the way they did, I know it wasn't perfectly clean, but they got the outs they needed against some really good hitters when they needed. And as you mentioned, Kyle Finnegan's dad, Willie, I met him the other day. He was here over the weekend, and he pulled me aside to introduce himself. And the first thing he said to me was, he listens to us every single morning. This guy is very intense. He cares about his son. He cares about the team very much. And I can only imagine what it would have been like sitting next to him for the 8th and 9th innings watching this game. I am sure that he was all in on it, just as Kyle was, just as the Nats were. Look, it's April 7th, okay? It's hard to have a big game on April 7th. But this felt like a big game for this team, a team that has not been involved in that many big games in recent years. You could tell this one meant something to them.
Absolutely. And, with the weather in the Washington, D.C. area on Monday, it was really cold. It was rainy, certainly an ugly day, kind of, dare I say, an October feel. And with Nats Dodgers at Nationals Park on Monday evening, I mentioned the Dodgers earlier in the day being honored at the White House. You had sort of a postseason feel to some things going on. But we're not going to get ahead of ourselves. For most games, the quote-unquote lead is obvious, like the A topic is obvious. The beauty of this game, you could start with MacKenzie Gore. You could start with Kyle Finnegan. You could start with what the Nats offense did in this game. I don't know that there's a wrong choice. I'm going to go ahead with MacKenzie Gore. He is the Nats' #1 starting pitcher right now. He on Monday evening was needed to, shall we say, step up against a really good team in the Dodgers, and step up Gore did. He was really good. 2 runs in 6 innings, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk against one of the best lineups in baseball. Gore gave up 5 hits, which were a home run, a triple, and 3 singles. The homer, the triple, and one of the singles all came from one guy. Guess who? The Dodgers DH and #1 batter, the #1 star in MLB, Shohei Ohtani. Gore threw 100 pitches, 58 strikes versus 42 balls. He in the top of the 3rd gave up a 2-out, 2-run homer by Ohtani to right field to tie the game at 2. And Gore in the top of the 5th gave up a 2-out triple by Ohtani off the right center field wall on an 0-2 pitch. But even with Ohtani doing as he did, Gore had a good outing. As you may recall, his previous outing was not so good. The 4-2 loss at the Toronto Blue Jays last Wednesday. Gore in that game, 3 runs in 5 innings. But as you also probably recall, Gore on opening day was outstanding. The 7-3 10-inning loss to the Philadelphia Phillies at Nationals Park on March 27th. Gore in that game, 6 scoreless innings, 13 strikeouts, no walks, gave up just 1 hit, which was a single. So you take a step back, MacKenzie Gore so far in this regular season, 3 starts, ERA at 2.65, whip of 1.06, strikeouts per 9 innings of 13.24. Mark, we call that pitching like an ace.
The numbers suggest it, but even more than that, I think the approach and the attitude really fits the profile as well. And in this start, the assignment was clear and MacKenzie Gore understood it. You've got a depleted bullpen with, as it turns out, 2 of their top 3 guys not available, Jose A. Ferrer and Jorge Lopez, because they'd pitched the previous 2 days. But on top of that, you've got, coming up on Tuesday, essentially a bullpen game. Brad Lord's going to start, probably good for 45 to 50 pitches. We'll probably see Jackson Rutledge after him. But they knew that they need to have as many arms as possible available for Tuesday as they could. So you're asking your #1 starter to go out there and give you length in this game. And he knew that was the assignment, and he went out and did it for them by going 6 innings and getting to 100 pitches. Yes, he struggled with Ohtani. He admitted he made 3 bad pitches to the guy and gave up 3 hits. But he was able to brush that off, get the rest of these guys who are, by the way, some pretty good hitters beyond Shohei Ohtani in this lineup, and really hardly gave up anything to any of them, and finish strong. He ends the 5th at 89 pitches. He says he wants to come back for the 6th. They're like, all right, we're going to let you go up to about 100. And he hit it on the dot with a 1-2-3 6th inning and never made them have to make a move earlier. on a night when you knew that their bullpen was going to be pretty thin anyway. So that's an ace-like performance. It's the results, yes, but it's also the approach and the attitude that he had going into it, understanding what was asked of him for this game.
Absolutely. Meeting the moment was MacKenzie Gore. And, with Shohei Ohtani, I don't think there's any shame in getting done dirty by him. I mean, the guy is a freak. He is maybe / probably the most fearsome hitter in baseball since Barry Bonds at his, gassed up peak in 2000, 2001, 2002. Like, it's hard to remember over the last 25 years a guy who induced more fear than Shohei Ohtani, given the look, the presence, and the performances. So, you give up some extra base hits by Ohtani, that's forgivable. What do you do against everyone else? And Gore's overall body of work in this game ended up being superb.
Finnegan to the belt. It's 1-2 on Hernandez. The pitch on the way. Swing and a miss. He blew it by him. Fastball at 96 in the inning over. So Finnegan gets a big strikeout and limits the damage in the 8th. The Nationals still need 3 more outs.
So the Nats bullpen in this 6-4 win over the Dodgers on Monday evening. Kind of a funny deal. On the one hand, the streak does continue. I'm going to keep mentioning this until it stops. The Nats bullpen has allowed at least 1 run in each of the Nats games this regular season, all 10. And sure enough, 3 Nats relievers on Monday evening combined to allow 2 runs in 3 innings. However, we in this game had this really heroic performance by Kyle Finnegan. I don't think it's hyperbole to say that. Eduardo Salazar was good. He tossed a perfect top of the 7th. Lucas Sims officially allowed 2 runs in a third of an inning. He in the top of the 8th. Faced 4 batters, but got just 1 out. He issued a leadoff walk and gave up back-to-back went-out singles, so the first of which was a went-out RBI single by Mookie Betts to center field to cut the Nats' lead to 6-3. And then we had Kyle Finnegan, son of our friend Willie Finnegan, coming into the game, and Kyle Finnegan officially tossed 1 2/3 scoreless innings for a 5-out save. He came into the game in the top of the 8th, with runners on first and second, went out, and the Nats up 6-3. Finnegan pitching for a 3rd consecutive day, presumably operating on fumes. He in the top of the 8th faced 3 batters, got 2 outs, did give up a 2-out RBI bloop single by Will Smith to right center field to cut the Nats' lead to 6-4. And then Finnegan tossed a scoreless top of the 9th, despite giving up a leadoff opposite field double by Max Muncy off the left center field wall, and despite issuing a 2-out walk of Shohei Ohtani. That was some real drama. Finnegan, Ohtani in that 9th inning. And then we had more drama. Finnegan, Mookie Betts, but Finnegan won that battle. Induced a game-ending ground out by the Dodgers' number 2 batter, Mookie Betts, with runners on first and third. Kyle Finnegan pitching for a 3rd consecutive day, finding a way to get a 5-out save against the mighty Dodgers.
That was high drama. Again, for April 7th, that was as good as it gets. Both the context of Finnegan pitching the 3rd straight day, having to go multiple innings, and who he's facing, some of the most feared hitters in baseball. And I think this is a good example of, you think of lockdown closers and you want the guy who's, 1, 2, 3 and blowing them away, never, sweating it out. And I get that. That's the perfect case. But sometimes you also just need to get the outs before the other team ties the game. And that's what he did in this one, okay? He was not perfect. He gave up an inherited run in the 8th. He gives up a leadoff double in the 9th to Max Muncy, and ultimately he ends up on 3rd base. But that runner didn't matter. He knew what lead he had. He had to just get the outs before the Dodgers got enough guys going on base to ultimately try to tie the game. And so I think that's a guy with experience in the situation. I know he's not perfect. He doesn't always save every game, and he makes it interesting maybe more often than you would like. But I think the experience that he's built now up over several years allows him to approach that and understand what ultimately he needs to do to finish the game. And it's not about the personal stats or about strikeouts or blowing anybody away. It's about getting the outs before the other team can come back and tie the game. And I thought that was a perfect example of how he did it. And then on top of all that, oh, by the way, there was a 32-pitch save after he threw 23 pitches to save the game Sunday, after he threw 13 pitches to save the game the day before that. So really gutsy stuff from him. And all the angst of the offseason and the spring and what was going to happen, what are they going to do in the closer spot? Are they going to bring him back? Is he worth the money or not? That's the kind of stuff you can't just throw anybody out there and do what he did. It takes somebody both with experience and some guts to get the job done.
Well, and I think when you're pitching for a third consecutive day, you don't get caught up in, well, his outing wasn't clean. Like, you just sort of are trying to survive. And he did that and then some in officially tossing 1 2/3 scoreless innings. And, when you think about Finnegan, maybe the number one positive with him has been his durability. He has thrown at least 63 2/3 innings in each of the last 4 regular seasons, 2021 through 2024. He's a guy you can lean on. And Davey Martinez, these last 3 days, clearly has leaned on Finnegan. I'm assuming Finnegan is unavailable for Tuesday evening, although I guess you can't say anything with complete certainty, but I'm assuming Finnegan is unavailable for Game 2 of this series. But, relievers, pitchers in general, we know how they are. They break down. Kyle Finnegan, knock on wood, has not broken down. He's been a pillar of durability for the Nats for years now.
Has never spent a day on the IL in 5 years in the big leagues, all of them with the Nationals. So that counts for something, absolutely. And he said, above all else, he takes the most pride in being available for his team when they need him. And he knows the role. And we talked about this the other day, how he had the fewest appearances of anybody in the bullpen. And if he's your best reliever, shouldn't he be pitching more? But he understands how this works. You're going to go through stretches where the team is not winning and the games are not set up right for you to pitch. But then the flip side is you're also going to go through some stretches where they have to really rely on you a lot. And that's exactly what this was. And so he said he felt fresh. He felt good physically through it all. And, somebody asked him afterwards, are you available to pitch tomorrow? He laughed and he thought about it. He said, mentally, yes. Physically, probably not. So even he admits that 4 in a row at this time of year would be just a bit too much for his body to handle.
This episode is brought to you by Open Window Property Management, LLC. The parent company has been serving military families for 40 years now, and Open Window brings that experience to you, serving the whole DMV. Open Window prides themselves on communication, so when a homeowner calls, they get a designated property manager, not an AI bot. Among the services, free no-obligation quote, tenant screening, move-in support, 24/7 emergency services, financial statements to homeowners, and rental inspections of the rental unit during the leasing period. Licensed realtors receive a referral fee. Homeowners get half off the next monthly management fee for referral. Here's the number, 703-955-4017. Again, that's 703-955-4017.
I'm excited to tell you about the designs Homage has cooked up for the 2025 MLB season. If you're as baseball obsessed as I am, you'll love the full roster of major league looks from Homage. Amazing comfort and deep cut designs that help fans show off passion for their favorite teams. Homage has a massive selection that tells the story of the greatest sport from its very beginnings. Deep logo history, coast-to-coast stadium tours, and the biggest players from every era. Legends never die at Homage. If you need your new shirt for going to a ball game, Homage has you covered with its most comfortable fan clothing, and it's available for fans of all ages. This year's collection hits dinger after dinger after tater, fleece, tees, bottoms, and more. And don't forget to check out the new starter jacket lineup, an iconic dugout look you don't want to miss. Heroes get remembered, but legends never die, and these looks go long, period. Check out the Homage MLB collection to find your team's coolest gear.
And now, 2 pigeons who can't believe how good humans have it with DirecTV.
These humans are hopping from streaming apps to live sports without batting a wing.
All from the DirecTV home screen.
With just one click, you could be watching a baseball game, a movie on Netflix,
or a critically acclaimed documentary.
You watch documentaries?
I love the ones that leave you with a question.
What?
Exactly.
DirecTV, a better way to watch whatever you want to watch. Visit DirecTV.com. Internet-connected Gemini device, separate Netflix membership, and additional paid subscriptions required for third-party apps.
Now the kick and the pitch. Swing and a line drive over the drawn-in infield and through into right center. A base hit for Nathaniel Lowe. Luis Garcia Jr. trots in from third. And the Nationals answer right back here at the bottom of the third and regain the lead. Lowe with his 9th run batted in. He's at first with 1 out. It's now the Nationals 3 and the Dodgers 2.
So the Nats offense Things were bad last week in that 3-game sweep at the Toronto Blue Jays. Things have largely been better since, and the Nats on Monday evening, a solid, if not good, offensive outing in this 6-4 win over the Dodgers. 6 runs, 9 hits, 3 walks, 4 for 16 with runners in scoring position. The 9 hits were a homer, 2 doubles, and 6 singles. And all of this happened despite no C.J. Abrams. So shortstop C.J. Abrams did not play in the game due to a tight right thigh. James Wood, he did play in this game. He was the Nats starting left fielder and number 1 batter with Abrams out. And Wood went 1 for 3 with a 2-run homer, a walk, and a stolen base. So Wood in the bottom of the first drew a leadoff full count walk and had to steal a second base. And Wood in a Nats 3-run 7th, a 1-out, 2-run homer to center field on a 1-2 pitch for a 5-2 Nats lead. That was a big inning for the Nats in terms of accumulating insurance runs, and Wood providing the biggest hit in that inning. Now, also with James Wood in this game, and I thought that this was especially interesting, Davey Martinez in the top of the 9th taking Wood out of the game for defensive purposes. Martinez moved Dylan Cruz from center field to right field, moved Alex Cole from right field to left field, and put Jacob Young in center field. Jacob Young has not been starting lately due to him struggling offensively, but Martinez took Wood out of the game. I'm curious to hear what you have to say about this. I did not love this. Had the game gone beyond the top of the 9th, taking Wood out of the game would not have looked so good. What did you think about Martinez doing this?
Well, especially because he was due up second in the bottom of the 9th. So that's a risk. That's a gamble. And it's funny, the same situation came up the other day. And Davey said he thought about it, but he didn't want to take the bat out of Wood's hands, wanted to have him available in case he was needed before the game was over. So the same situation arises here, and he decides, no, you know what? I'm putting my best defense out there. And it could go either way. I get it. I think this is a case of probably understanding that Finnegan pitching for the 3rd straight day and against some of the guys that he's facing might be giving up some contact. And if that and some hard contact, and if that's the case, you want your best 3 guys in the outfield. And if he blows the save because of a ball hit in the gap that James Wood couldn't get to, but that, Alex Call could, or Jacob Young now playing center could, then that's worth the risk of not having him in your lineup again after that. So I get it. I understand it. I'll be curious to see if this is a recurring thing or this was specific to this game and this situation to do that. Beyond that, James Wood had a very good night. The home run was huge. Under the circumstances, to get that off a lefty, Anthony Bonda, who you may or probably don't remember as a National for about 1 month a couple of years ago, resurrected his career with the Dodgers, was actually a big part of their World Series bullpen last year. He comes in, and that's a huge 2 extra insurance runs there in the 7th for James to do that off the lefty, hitting it the other way. Classic James Wood home run. So I really like to see that from him. And as far as the defense is concerned, I do think it speaks to this idea that we've been told James Wood is a good defensive outfielder. In the big league so far in left field, we haven't seen a lot of it. He's maybe getting better, but there are still plays that you kind of say, I feel like he should be better than that. He should have a better angle to that ball or move a little better out there. And so you saw Davey deciding in this case, I'm going straight defense, even if it costs me offensively.
Yeah, and in sports and in life, you go by the actions, not by the words. The fact that Davey Martinez did this tells you what the Nats internally think of James Wood defensively right now. The fact that they took his bat out of the game for defensive purposes, that tells you where the Nats believe Wood is at defensively here. I just think that is such a chance to take, given what Wood can be offensively, what he had done earlier in the game offensively. And if things go awry in that top of the 9th, and like you said, Wood is due up second in the bottom of the 9th, and you don't have James Wood batting, that's a tough pill to swallow. Former Dodgers farmhand Keibert Ruiz, he on Monday evening as the Nats starting catcher and number 4 batter, 1 for 3 with an RBI double and a walk. Ruiz in the bottom of the first drew a 2-out walk. Ruiz in the Nats 3-run 7th, a 2-out RBI double to right field for a 6-2 Nats lead. He and the Dodgers 2-run 8th did get charged with a pass ball, but Keibert Ruiz continues to produce. I know we're only 10 games into this thing, but he has been steady. I've said this. It feels like every game he does something positive. Ruiz for this regular season, number 1 among all qualified Nats in OPS at 981. Number 2 is Nathaniel Lowe at 907. he continues to be a steady producer. He on Monday evening as the Nats starting first baseman and number 5 batter, 1 for 4 with an RBI single. Low in the Nats 1-run third, a 1-out RBI single to right field for a 3-2 Nats lead. The Nats' 3 most consistent hitters so far this season have been Ruiz, Lowe, and CJ Abrams. No Abrams on Monday evening, but Ruiz and Lowe continue to come through.
It's been critical for them at a time when Dylan Cruz and James Wood maybe didn't start off so great for them. Josh Bell as well hasn't started off great. I just think back that we talked about going into the season, if anybody needed to get off to a good start, it was Keibert Ruiz. He's done everything you could ask for through the first 10 games. That's been so encouraging. And I know it means something to him just to feel a little renewed confidence in himself, because he was upset with the way he played last year. And he knows what people say. He knows how it looks with the contract that he got. And all of a sudden questioning, is he actually their long-term answer at catcher, or was that a mistake? So for him to come through and do this, I think it speaks volumes about the work he put in this winter and the importance psychologically for him to get off to a good start. And Nathaniel Lowe, I think it was important for him to get off to a good start as well. As you keep saying, the highest paid player on the team, the biggest acquisition, I suppose, they made this winter. If you're him, you want to live up to that and show that it was a smart move on their part and that you really are a middle-of-the-order bat who can deliver for them in addition to playing great defense. And we've seen it from him as well. So, I mean, that's been very encouraging. And again, in Ruiz's case, I just think it's fascinating. You went into the year thinking this is somebody who's going to hit towards the bottom of the lineup because they finally have enough depth that they don't have to put that on his shoulders. And instead, because of both his performance and lack of performance from others, he's consistently hitting third and fourth for them right now and delivering. Totally unexpected that would be the case 10 games in.
And we remember how bad he was to begin last season, and the numbers were so bad that even as he got a little bit better as the season went on, he was in such a hole statistically that the numbers never looked good. At least what's happening this season is he's getting off to a good start, so the stats look good. And so if he eventually and inevitably stumbles a bit, everybody does, it won't be so bad because he's not like buried himself in April. He's set himself in a nice spot with what he's done over these first few weeks. Nathaniel Lowe, I continue to marvel at this trade by Mike Rizzo this past December, trading a reliever in Robert Garcia to the Texas Rangers for Nathaniel Lowe. Robert Garcia, a reliever who the Nats got off waivers, they end up turning him into an everyday first baseman in Lowe, a guy who has been, not a superstar first baseman, but who has been a good, solid, consistent first baseman, both offensively and defensively. And the Nats now have him. This is his age 29 season. He's under team control through the 2026 season. And so far, like I said, he's been one of the Nats' best offensive players. Good to see Luis Garcia Jr. continue to be better here lately. He is the Nats starting second baseman and number 3 batter on Monday evening. 2 for 4 with 2 singles and a stolen base. Garcia in that Nats 3-run 7th, a 1-out single to shallow left center. Although Alex Call got thrown out at home for the second out. Now, Call has been doing well, but second consecutive game in which Call gets thrown out at home. The 5-4 win over the Arizona Diamondbacks at Nationals Park on Sunday afternoon. Paul DeJong in the Nats 1-run third had a 2-out RBI double to left field for a 4-2 Nats lead, but Call on that play got thrown out at home for the third out. I feel like we've had this conversation before. The Nats making outs on the base paths. Some outs made at home plate here recently.
So they've now made 3 outs at the plate already in 10 games, and they made 3 outs on the bases in this game, the 1 at the plate and then 2 more at third base in this game. And it's why I know you said it was a good offensive night for them, and it was. It could have been a great offensive night for them. They could have taken a lot of pressure off of the bullpen if they had really taken it to Dustin May early on when they had the chance. This is crazy. In the first 3 innings of the game, they took 11 at-bats with runners in scoring position in 3 innings. You know how many hits they had? 1. Now, I thought it was 2. It was initially 2, but the official score changed Dylan Cruz's RBI single into an error, a questionable call that a lot of people were kind of buzzing about during the course of the game. But still, they had tons of opportunities to really pile on early and make life a lot easier for them. And between not hitting with runners in scoring position and running into outs, you had Jose Tena bunting right in front of the plate and getting Josh Bell thrown out at third. And then moments later, Tena gets thrown out at third on the Cruz hit/error. It is troubling. And I understand you're trying to press the envelope. You want to, against a good team, you got to sort of force the issue. And, the call play at the plate, it did take a very good throw to get him. I don't put that one on Call. That's on Ricky Gutierrez making the decision to send him. again, it's okay to be aggressive, but at some point you do have to look at the results and say, you're getting too many guys thrown out at the plate. You had a chance for even bigger innings than they had. It worked out in the end tonight, but it did feel like they were very close to blowing this game. And if they had blown it, we easily could have looked at that and said, they cost themselves with 3 outs on the bases.
And the Nats, these last few seasons, have cost themselves with too many outs on the base paths. We've had the conversation more than a few times on this podcast. Hey, it's Al Galdi for Window Nation, which is offering another tremendous deal to listeners of the Nats Chat podcast. 4 free windows for every 4 windows that you buy, and you pay nothing until 2027. This offer is good through April 30th, so hurry. Schedule your free estimate at 866-90Nation or windownation.com. And tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast. There's no limit to how much you can save, and if you buy a house full of windows, Window Nation will include a free entry door. Window Nation partners with the top window manufacturers in the nation to build windows to their high-quality specs. Then Window Nation passes the savings on to you. You'll protect your home with some of the best windows that you can buy at a fraction of the price of other brands, and you'll increase the value of your home. 4 free windows for every 4 windows that you buy, and you pay nothing until 2027. The offer is good through April 30th. Call 866-90Nation or visit windownation.com and tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast.
No, el año pasado teníamos una buena temporada, pero empezó en entrenamiento. El entrenamiento de él fue muy bien. Este año yo creo que va a ser el mismo poner un número bien como hizo el año pasado.
If you're like me and you want to know what is Davey saying when answering these questions in Spanish, because after all, he is talking about the Washington Nationals, then one option is turning to Babbel, where language no longer has to be the barrier. With over 16 million subscriptions sold, Babbel's 14 award-winning language courses are backed by a 20-day money-back guarantee. Let's get more of you talking in a new language. Babbel is gifting our listeners 60% off subscriptions at babbel.com/natschat. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/natschat. That's spelled BABBEL.com/natschat. Babbel.com/natschat. Rules and restrictions may apply.
I'm excited to tell you about the designs Homage has cooked up for the 2025 MLB season. If you're as baseball obsessed as I am, you'll love the full roster of major league looks from Homage. Amazing comfort and deep cut designs that help fans show off passion for their favorite teams. Homage has a massive selection that tells the story of the greatest sport from its very beginnings. Deep logo history, coast-to-coast stadium tours, and the biggest players from every era. Legends never die at Homage. If you need your new shirt for going to a ball game, Homage has you covered with its most comfortable fan clothing, and it's available for fans of all ages. This year's collection hits dinger after dinger after tater. Fleece, tees, bottoms, and more. And don't forget to check out the new starter jacket lineup, an iconic dugout look you don't want to miss. Heroes get remembered, but legends never die, and these looks go long, period. Check out the Homage MLB collection to find your team's coolest gear.
Take me out to the ball game.
What are you doing?
Did you know DirecTV has the most MLB games?
So, you're singing.
Yeah, they put your favorite teams front and center right when you turn it on. Buy me some cold cuts and flapjacks.
Those aren't even the words.
I'm allergic to peanuts.
Stream DirecTV, home of the most MLB games. Visit DirecTV.com. Claim based on total games offered on national and regional sports networks. RSNs available with choice package or higher. Availability of RSNs varies by zip code and package.
The 0-1 to Cruz. Swinging a line drive towards short. It's under the glove of Betts, out into left center field. Rounding third, DeYoung. He'll try to score. Heading for third, Tana. The throw there is in time, and he's out. Cruz goes into second, but the Nationals take a 1-0 lead.
The Nats get to win now are at 4-6, and You know, a homestand that looked rather daunting, the Nats have clinched going at least 500 on this homestand. At least 3-3 will be the mark. 3-1 so far over 4 games. Game 2 against the Dodgers Tuesday evening at 6:45. Like Mark said earlier, Brad Lord will be the Nats starting pitcher. So presumably this will be like a tandem start, I guess, where Lord will start and then Jackson Rutledge, in theory, would come into the game, and maybe you tag team those two and you get 6, 7, 8 innings, hopefully, maybe, possibly, we'll see. But this will be interesting. I mean, Brad Lord, we know, is supposed to be a starting pitcher. This season is being developed as a starter by being utilized as a reliever at the major league level. And then the way baseball works, here we are, game number 11 of the regular season. Lord is starting for the Nats against the defending World Series champion Dodgers.
So it's not the way you would draw it up necessarily, but they knew when they decided to put him in the bullpen to start the year, he was still one of, if not their top depth starting options if they needed someone. And the feeling was that they could do it by either sending him AAA for a little bit. In this case, they decided not to do that. Go ahead and put him out there and understand that he's now going to have to build his arm up at the big league level. So 45, 50 pitches, you hope he gives you 3 or 4 innings on that. And then barring complete disaster, I think he'll be back out there again 5 days beyond that and try to build it up now to, 60 pitches the next time out. And ultimately, he's built up to be a starter for as long as they need him with Michael Soroka out. You saw that they, I think, purposely didn't use Lord the last 4 days or so, knowing that they wanted him to start this one. They've probably purposely avoided Rutledge since he was called up, knowing that he would be the backup, I think, to Lord. We'll see how that all goes as the game plays out. I don't know who's going to be available at the bullpen. I'm assuming Kyle Finnegan's not available for a couple of days at least, but it's a tough assignment, and yet I can't help but think back to April 15th of 2024 on Jackie Robinson night at Dodger Stadium when a young man named Mitchell Parker made his major league debut and came away with the win in his first career start. A little bit different situation for Lord. He's already had 3 big league games, so maybe that helps him. I'm not going to be able to go as deep into the game because he's not built up, but it's a big assignment nonetheless, and I'm very interested to see how he handles the pressure of it, the length of it, the hitters he's got to go up against, the whole kit and caboodle of it. And I'm really fascinated to see how he handles it because, again, I think we're looking at your new number 5 starter, at least for a while now, given the state of the organization depth-wise.
Well, I brought up a few shows ago who might be the pleasant pitching surprise for the Nats this season. 2 years ago, Jake Irvin. Last season, Mitchell Parker. To a lesser extent, DJ Herz. Who might be that guy this season? And maybe, just maybe, that guy is Brad Lord. Some injury updates on Nats pitchers. We have DJ Herz, who is on the 60-day injured list due to a left elbow UCL sprain. We have reliever Derek Law, who's on the 15-day injured list due to right forearm inflammation. And we finally got some updates on both guys.
It's not necessarily encouraging in either case. Has not been cleared to throw off a mound yet. He's technically eligible to come off the IL on Tuesday. Well, that's not happening. He hasn't come anywhere close to that. It sounds like when he has attempted to throw or start doing some activities, sometimes he's felt okay, but hasn't always felt okay and maybe hasn't recovered well the next day. That's a little bit concerning for a guy who they purposely held back this spring. The sense was that they put him on the IL not because he was hurt, but because he just wasn't ready. But here we are now almost 2 weeks into the season, and he's still not ready and still has a ways to go. You just can't help but think how much they miss him in the bullpen right now. Hopefully it's not too much longer, but at the moment, he's just kind of in a holding pattern. In DJ Herz's case, I was told last week that he was going to Dr. Meister in Dallas for his second opinion. I can't confirm that happened, but what Davey Martinez said is that he's going for another opinion with a doctor on the 15th. So that's a week from now. It sounds to me like that's seeking a third opinion. I don't think that's still the second opinion. So, read between the lines of what you think's going on there. It would seem like somebody doesn't like whatever those first opinions have suggested, and they want to get another look just in case. But the longer it goes on, the less encouraging I would think it is, and the more we're probably looking at him heading for surgery at some point. So I think you put that all together and you kind of have had a sense all along that DJ Herz is going to be out for quite a while, if not the whole season.
And the fact that the Nats so quickly transferred him from the 15-day injured list to the 60-day injured list would suggest what you're saying there. I mean, just to reset the timeline, March 25th, Herz went on the 15-day IL. The next day, the Nats transferred Herz to the 60-day IL. They didn't have to do that. They did do that. So I think that tells you something about what they think his return might be, even in a best-case scenario. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. This installment of Nats Chat brought to us by Open Window Property Management, LLC. Open Window Property Management serves the entire DMV, and Open Window Property Management's parent company has been serving military families for 40 years. Give Open Window Property Management a call today, 703-955-4017. Email the podcast, natschatpodcast@gmail.com, if you would like for us to deliver a shout out to someone who you care about, a hello, a happy birthday, a congratulations, a get well. Contact the man who runs this podcast, Tim Shovers. Again, that email address, natschatpodcast@gmail.com. For Mark Zuckerman, I'm Al Galdi. We thank you for listening, and we leave you with this report on the Nats AAA affiliate, the Rochester Red Wings, from the voice of the Red Wings, Josh Whetzel.
The pitch. Swinging a bouncing ball between short and third, and it's off the glove of the shortstop, Castro, rolling down the left field line. Nunez and Hassell each score, and men are at second and third for the Red Wings with still nobody out.
Josh Whetzel here with a Rochester Red Wings report. The Wings are 8 games into the season and off to a bit of a slow start, just 2-6 as I record this. Brady House has been the top offensive performer so far. The third baseman is hitting .367 with 2 doubles, a triple, and a home run. Some other offensive performers so far. Robert Hassell is hitting .265 with a pair of doubles. Trey Lipscomb batting .269, 7 for 26 with a double. Catcher Drew Millis is hitting .296, had a big home opener for the Wings with 2 triples and a home run in the same game. And Darren Baker, after playing 6 games, 5 for 23, a .217 batting average. On the pitching side of things, Andrew Alvarez was the Red Wings opening day starter. He's made 2 starts to this point, 0-1, but he has only allowed 3 earned runs on just 7 hits in 10 innings, a dozen strikeouts and 2 walks for the left-hander Alvarez. And Shinosuke Ogasawara has made 2 very different starts. Both of them were against Lehigh Valley, the Phillies' top farm club. The first start, he went 6 innings and allowed just 1 run. Second start, not quite as good. He got roughed up a little bit by Lehigh Valley. And so overall now in 10 innings, he's allowed 7 earned runs on 14 hits. The good news, after he walked a few guys in spring training, no walks, 8 strikeouts so far for Ogasawara. That's a Rochester Red Wings update. More next week for you.
At Capella University, learning online doesn't mean learning alone. You'll get dedicated support from people who care about your success. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu.